Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
I'm opening. We have an eye, sort of a nostril, 2 teeth. One of the teeth has a small cavity. Close call, folks, but I think we got here just in time.
Presented by Maria Menounos and Kevin Undergaro. This is Anatomy of a Movie. In-depth discussions and breakdowns of various movie titles. And now that you've seen the movie, let the dissection begin.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The sound of this can only mean one thing. We're back on Anatomy of a Movie, talking about the new Shawn Anders movie, Daddy's Home. That's right, Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg rejoin as a comedic duo for this comedy. And here to talk about it with me today is James Lott Jr.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I am back. Thank you, Phil. I'm glad to be here. You can follow me at Black Hope LA on Twitter to continue the discussion afterwards.
That's right. And he is a father.
Yes, I am. I'm wearing my shirt.
No, actually, he's a dad.
I'm a dad. I'm a dad today. They gave it to me for Father's Day. So, yes, I'm a father, and I also helped raise a child that was not biologically mine.
There you go.
So I have both sides of it.
And I'm your host, Phil Svitek. So, Daddy's Home. We're talking about it. Let's start with overall impressions. What did you think of it?
I thought it wasn't half bad. It's a film you could bring the family to see it.
It is PG.
It is PG, so you can bring the family to see it. And I thought there were moments that it could have been better, and there were moments that made me really laugh, and moments that I thought, okay, this is fine.
Yeah. We'll talk about the comparison between the other guys and this. Yeah. But overall, I enjoyed it. I think the beginning was promising, and then the end really picked it up. And I think the ending saved it overall because you left on a good note. And so it made the middle seem a little better than it perhaps was.
But in the middle, there were good parts. I mean, that's what's so 100%. Funny. And there are also setups, which we'll go into detail a little later. They had things they were setting up that in some ways fell flat to me, but the elements and ingredients were there. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, okay.
So let's talk about which elements worked for you the most.
I immediately go to the scene with Bobby Cannavale's character playing Dr. Francisco. I loved that scene for some weird reason. I just was laughing the whole time. When he said that his boss like 2 Patrick Stewarts, I just lost it.
And then the James and the Giant Peach.
But the 2 Patrick Stewarts, for some reason, that one maybe just, I got an image somehow of a bald head, which I have one. And made me laugh. That is really funny. The dance thing was really funny because it started out like you're thinking they're going to start fighting for real. Like, oh my God. But then I forgot about the dance off thing. Also, I like the whole bully thing that happened at the end, revealed towards the end. Mm-hmm. There were some really funny parts that really worked for me in there.
I enjoyed Griff. I thought that was funny, and what I did enjoy overall was the fact that that Dusty was sort of believable. Okay. The only part, I never, and almost believable in such a weird way where I didn't understand why he had such a weird phobia of commitment.
Okay.
That was because he seemed like a decent enough human being, and I get that, he was his only kind of quirk was that he was trying to fight for his kids, which in the end is actually a noble thing. It's not an evil thing. Right. And yes, some of the methods may not have been 100% well-intentioned, but that doesn't make him a bad guy. And so I think that was the only thing. But Griff, for me, was funny, just even the way he was introduced and the fact that he stayed on for so long. It could have been just a nice little bit, but they kept utilizing him. And I did like that Dusty overall just kept winning upwards up until a certain point.
You're right. You have a good point. Actually, Dusty, they could have played his character so like just the typical just bad guy, bad father who tries for a minute and then all of a sudden you realize he's really bad, but he really wasn't. Like I could see them both co-parenting. I was like, he's not that bad. I mean, it made me wonder why he broke up with Homegirl.
I know. I mean, it's especially when Linda Cardellini, I thought she did a fantastic job. I mean, I know she's known for a lot of other roles.
Yes, Freaks and Geeks, ER. Yes, I saw it, like, wait a minute. I'm like, first I was like, who is that? I'm like, she's hot. Like, when did she grow up all of a sudden? Like, all of a sudden, she's like this hot woman. And then I saw her on a show called Off Camera with Sam Jones. He does like this interview. I love his show. And she was the guest. Now, she's totally smart, too. But it's just like, this woman is hot. Like, where did she come from?
Yeah, and I think she played Sara really well, and she was that nice balance between the two of, because she really had to kind of keep them sane, and she was the parent for both of them.
Yes, she was. And I'm glad that she didn't fall into they didn't have her fall into the thing of like maybe liking Dusty still. It was very clear she always was in love with Brad.
Yeah, and I mean they certainly solidified that, which was nice. As soon as when Dusty's out of the picture, he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna." No, you're not coming over. You're
like,
out of the house.
Like, what are you doing? So you're like, what are you doing? So I'm comforting you. I kind of laughed on that one too. She's like, what are you doing? So I like they kept true to that, is she married him for a reason.
Yeah.
And she wasn't with him anymore. So I did like that too.
Yeah, it was very great. And the fact that, she let them play it out in the way that they did, and it was really up to Dusty and Brad. And Brad's the one who, it's not that Sara was like, okay, as you mentioned, I want Dusty all of a sudden. It was the fact that Brad really did screw it up, especially, I mean, that the basketball scene, that one was one of the more funnier scenes.
He was, that's crazy too, yes. His meltdown I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like, now he's starting to melt because he was this nice guy who was trying to do the right thing and read self-help books, and was like, screw all that. He was done.
And the fun part is, I didn't know about this. I didn't watch it, but they shot that at a basketball game in New Orleans.
I think we read some about that, yes.
And people put it up on YouTube and Vine, but I didn't actually see it.
I didn't see it either.
So, it was definitely funny. Out of context, it would have been funny as well.
I think so. And then, I mean, luckily, as we all know, we found out later that was a stunt person who was the cheerleader. Even I jumped on it. I was like, oh my God, when it happened, I was like, okay. And then the kid in the wheelchair. So I'm a sucker for those kind of sight gag humor. I can't help it.
Physical comedy, that it works. So,
And they had Kobe Bryant in the movie, so there you go. If you're a Laker fan, you got Kobe.
You do have Kobe. I mean, I think especially anything basketball-wise, you got Kobe in it, so it solidifies it. Or LeBron.
So, yeah, it's one.
Or Michael Jordan, but it would have to be like a throwback.
Yeah. Oh my God, you said throwback. Yes, that's true.
Hey, he doesn't play anymore.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't play anymore. But yes, LeBron, they're very much. But I thought that whole scene was another one that worked too. I kind of like that. He finally broke down. Like, this was, yes. Also, the scene that I like too is when in the line waiting for pick up the kids, and Dusty has his kind of like, oh my God, the kid, and the lady's yelling, you gotta move, my daughter has this class, and blah, blah, and just like, he kind of has a meltdown and goes past the cones. I kind of like that scene too.
Did you, because I felt, because he was so good at it, that was one of the scenes that for me, I was like, okay, well, I get that it's frustrating, and he's supposed to get out of the way, but you're not supposed to go over the cones, and he's kind of torn between those two. But in terms of him as a character, I was like, I thought he was supposed to be enjoying this, and I don't.
It made sense to me, actually.
Yeah.
It made sense that he didn't think it all the way through. Like, he wanted to be a father and come in and just do all that stuff, but then, like, there's day-to-day stuff that goes on. Almost cussed. There's day-to-day stuff that goes on that you have to deal with. And at that moment, I feel like it really hit him like, wow, Brad does a lot. And this is a little too much. I'm used to being on the road or wherever what he was doing. It seemed believable to me.
So so let's start with in terms of his backstory. I mean, this guy, every 2 seconds he was, as I said, in the movie alone, he was winning upwards. Where he was the voice of Panda.
That was actually funny too.
But even the way he met the doctor, right? That was one of his friends because they worked together,
yes.
and he's played basketball. He's in this. So where did you find the time to do like? And I know there's people out there that are that good,
yeah,
and can do these various things, but I mean, you don't see many like quote unquote f ups.
Yes.
Because someone who walks away on their kids isn't all. Wait, it's supposed to kind of be an f up, but he seemed like a kind of successful guy, and then yes, you can go the other way of like, oh, they got divorced because he's like a billionaire and he runs his own company, so it was kind of in the middle. And if it didn't work, obviously the movie doesn't work, and I felt I don't know if they fully got it right.
I don't know if they fully got it right, but I do feel like what was being told to me was that he couldn't stick around to be with the domesticated family situation, so he went off and did all these things. That's kind of how I looked at it. He went off and did all these adventures, and so that's kind of like, so now he's coming back. They didn't really explain fully why he decided to come back. I think that's the problem too. Like, they didn't really say like why all of a sudden now he wants to be with the kids.
Well, I think he just called the kids, and then they revealed like, oh, we're watching a movie with Brad, and I said, who's Brad?
Right.
And put him on the phone, and then as soon as he was like, I think it was just blind instinct of there's a man in my house.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, he's the type of guy that gets protective.
Yeah, okay, I guess I can see it. Because it's kind of like, he came back, I mean, of course, all that, I saw that whole scene, but like, he came back and was like, I'm here, and I'm going to be super dad, and I was kind of like, well, but you're having these adventures, and, I mean, and he wasn't totally bad either, so yeah, it was a little confusing for me.
I mean, and one of those things, like, and part of it, it's a conditioning thing, right, where we see so many different movies that I was waiting for the mask to come off, and there be kind of a disingenuous reason for this, whether it be money, who knows. But we never got that, so part of it is that it was just different in that way, and so because we're not used to it, maybe just that fact alone, it didn't work for us, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't work.
No, that's right. You're right. I mean, you're right. It was a different representation of the parent that left.
Yeah.
It was a little different. It wasn't like you said. It wasn't usual. Like, okay, and now at the end of the movie, he's gonna be the real villain. We're gonna show how he's just a horrible person, and they're gonna love Brad, and he's gonna run off into wherever he's gonna go. It was like, no, he had flaws, but he's still a good guy, so to speak.
I mean, to me, and obviously he set him up in these situations, but it was just so funny. And again, Griff was one of my more favorite characters. Of like, what, you can't name the kid Griff because it's. But what did you think about that whole setup of like, go fire Griff?
Okay, so here I'm the opposite of you. I thought Griff was the one character that didn't work for me.
Well, okay, why?
I'll tell you why. This is good television. This is good. No, okay. To me, Hannibal Buress is a great comedian. We know people. I don't know if you know he's a comedian, and I was like, oh, he's in the movie. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to go. And the setup, I love a good racial joke. I love a good racial. I'm all down for that. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to see what's going to happen. I felt it fell flat. Yeah, it could have been more.
What did you want?
I don't know. Blackface. I don't know. I just really. It just felt like the elements were there, but I didn't laugh. I want you so bad. I was like, okay, here's a setup. You got to fire the plumber. Oh, you don't fire these. I didn't tell the kids. What do you call somebody who's right? And like, it didn't make me laugh. The only part that made me laugh with his whole character, because I'm all for a side character coming in and interjecting something really quick and going back out, singing one line or whatever. And the food thing was kind of funny a little bit, the yam before and another thing before he's like food. I was like, I don't mind, that's a running gag. And Gary Sanchez, who does a lot of these productions, has in his show, TV shows especially, he does a lot of running gags. Like one guy on Bad Judge always had a bolo tie. Like there's little things he does that I don't mind that, but it just even a scene towards the end when he's kind of like talking to Brad about Dusty's leaving. The one part that was kind of funny was when I thought he did leave also. Yeah. And you're talking about it in the office with the panda. And he turns around, he's like, oh, he's still there. And I'm like, oh, I thought he left also. And the part when Will's character Brad is explained to him, I thought you left. And that part made me laugh, but it was more because of Will, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that was a funny thing because it was very much a meta moment of like...
Yes.
And then just them going... The moment's passed.
Yes, yeah, you have to explain it and keep talking about it. And so that part was kind of funny. And at the end, I felt when they named the baby Griff, I thought it was kind of funny, but I wish I cared about the character more to feel that moment. So okay. The stuff just felt, I felt like it could have been funnier. I don't know. I don't know if it was his delivery or the writing. That's the one character I was like waiting for something really make me laugh, and it didn't make me laugh.
Okay. Fair enough. I thought, just, again, maybe because they did introduce it with the joke that they did, that I was all in, and the fact that I wasn't expecting him to come back at all.
Well, me too. That was kind of,
and the fact that he did was hilarious. So let's talk about the skating thing, because I thought that was a funny scene in itself, and Tony Hawk was one of the stunt skaters in this.
Okay. So that makes sense. That one scene that was superimposed on his face, obviously, was it on purpose?
That was so funny because he had the GoPro. Yeah. Mark Wahlberg had the GoPro on Dusty's face.
Yes.
And so to make it so they put his face on, not him, and it was just so ridiculous.
So I was wondering, was that on purpose or because it made me laugh? It made me just laugh.
I think it was definitely on purpose because it's just so funny to see that size of a face on this body, and the fact it just looks so detached, like it just looked like a bobblehead.
Yes, I did love the treehouse. I'll say that I did love it. I was like, I want one of those in my backyard. And that's where we see Griff is there. That part was, I was like, oh, he's back. It was like Uncle Griff. That was kind of, like I said, it was like kind of funny. But the skate thing was, I didn't expect that either. A whole skate thing going on. And my skating days. It was a lot of fun to watch.
You skated?
I did, back in the day. I did a little bit. I was a roller skater and a skateboarder. I did a little bit of both back in the day. Back in the 70s.
And again, what works for it was that Will, in fact, was a good skater. Yeah. And the only thing that gets in the way is the electrical line.
That was kind of funny. See, I love a sight gag. So for my thing, and when he got up there and it came down, I was like, I kind of liked that. And then the whole explanation about, what do we do? And he's like taking it. So like, come on, you need to call 911. He's like, no, you don't call 911 for it. It was kind of funny, the whole like slowly he's describing it. He's just laying there like out.
He's dead. Yes,
he's dead. It's like, great. And he cleared and he comes back to life. I mean, that part was kind of funny, actually. I liked Mark Wahlberg's delivery as Dusty in this film.
Did you like the long hair? I felt at first that even from the trailers, I was a little put off by the long hair, but I thought as it kind of went on, it did work. Yeah, right. I thought, well, just when he came out and he turned around, they were playing Thunderstruck by AC/DC. It was like I was all in when I saw the hole in the belt and everything. It made sense to me. Fair enough. And in terms of Brad. Did you think Will did in his portrayal of Brad? I mean, have you met fathers like this? A few. Actually, I have. Okay. I met a few fathers who were like, trying to be like a little new schooly, new agey, kind of like, you talk to the kids. And I'm old school, Dad. I'm like, you sit down and you stop getting on my nerves. I'm like, I tell them how I feel. Where someone like, well, you should sit down and be together and show emotion and take a selfie when. Right. That was hilarious, actually, because all of a sudden I was like, oh, I see that thing flash, and look, and they seem like, oh, sorry, is that too much? I mean, like, Will Ferrell I like Will Ferrell. I'm a big fan of his work. I think he's so funny in almost everything. Not only not like everything he does, Land of the Lost, but I do love the way he commits to a movie, and I think he's really good. And this character was so him, because he's a big giant guy playing a soft guy, so to speak. But we learn he's really the strong one because he sticks around. So I love his portrayal. This whole movie, I totally. What did you think about his portrayal? I thought he did good. I don't know who wrote the line. I'm sure it was in the script, or if somebody made it, kudos to them. But the whole dads versus fathers. Yeah. I thought that a father is just kind of someone that takes, but a dad is there. So I thought that set the tone off really, really nice. And yeah, I just love the sort of guy that is trying to he's trying so hard to do the right thing. And under normal circumstances, he's doing great. But then just no matter what he does, he can't buy a bucket. So right. Yes. I just love that he played it as, I'm going to be a caring father. I want to be there for these kids. And these kids are just like, whatever at first. And then they come around. He works hard. They come around. And then the father comes. Then he comes, but daddy's home. He comes in, but he worked really hard. And when they came to him, he was like, oh my God, I'm crying. I loved all of that. I thought it was kind of cute. Definitely was cute. One of the other things I just loved, again, in hindsight, kind of looking back on it, I thought the way the meticulousness of Dusty, just in general, of the sticky buns, I think I got to, as I watched it, I didn't quite understand him, but now in hindsight, his tactics and everything, even Toomer. Oh, yeah, Toomer, that dog. Because he just grows on you. Yeah, he's only 5 years old. That was pretty funny later. Anyway, he's only 5 years old. I'm like, you're only 5 years old. That dog made me laugh, actually. Kudos whoever got that dog and what that was all about. It was kind of funny. No, it's funny because, as a father myself, you really have to, it is all about the kids, so to speak. You want to play the kids, all they want to know is that they're loved and they're cared about and they're heard. That's all they want to know, basically. And so that's why this film kind of resonated with me, because you really want to be there for the kids and show them that you want to be a good father to them. If you're anybody who has any whatever about you want to be a good father. So I'm glad it wasn't so much about Sara. It was about the kids. And both of them were trying to show that they could be the best to the kids, but they got out of hand, obviously. I love Christmas. That Christmas scene was good, too. And the one in April or March, whatever it was? April. He's like, well played. That was good. I was like, that was good. But no, I don't know. I understood Brad and I understood Dusty in some weird way. I wasn't neither of those kind of parents, but I kind of related to both of them on some level. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, and just kind of even talking about it, one of the differences between this and the other guys, like in the other guys, they started off kind of friends.
Yes.
This one, they have to work towards that, and so when they have that nice scene when they are teaching the kid how to fight, and the fact that Brad feels so bad about lying, but then still it doesn't diminish the point. He just kind of hammers in the point even further because of how pathetic he actually really is.
Yes. I see the points that were kind of touching. I don't know if I use that as an adjective or a word. Were when they because Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg to me have chemistry. Mm-hmm. The other guys are so good, but they have chemistry in this movie too, in my opinion. And when it came together, it was like, there's something there. So I kind of liked those scenes. And when they said at the end with the dance thing, when they had to come together there too, it was just like, I like those scenes. And even when they had a scene when they kind of hugged and talked about, he's like, I understand what's going on. Dusty's like, I'm going to be now and be like you are, and just kind of play. And he's like, well, that means you're going to back off. He's like, no. But they had like a close moment, so to speak.
And you know what? In thinking about it, I think that's the biggest part of this whole movie is that they are so good, they have such chemistry that, it should be much like Ted. It's a buddy movie, right? Mm-hmm. It's him and Ted. The other guys was them two together. Mm-hmm. So whenever Mark Wahlberg's, and I can't necessarily say this for all movies, I have to kind of think of all the comedies he's done. Yeah. But he's always, in the ones that I mentioned at least, he's been, it's been a buddy comedy. Mm-hmm. In this, they grow to be buddies. But yeah, what works against it, unfortunately, is that they're not friends, and the fact that they have to be rivals, again, in some weird way, could work against it.
That's why you bring up a really good point, because it was funny. They were like the anti-buddy movie, but in a way, we still saw them. We could see them being as buddies, and they became buddies at the end.
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of like. And that's the whole thing. They have so much chemistry. You can't deny that chemistry. And that is the problem. Whereas, like, if this movie was about, let's say, it was Griff and Dusty, right? They could get, because those two as actors are, don't necessarily have that chemistry. Yeah. You could see it building towards that, but yeah. I know. It's a meta thing. I get it.
No, it is.
You shouldn't criticize the movie for it, but. Right. But I think, you bring that into it.
Well, that's an honest thing to bring up, because if you're going to do a movie and reunite for another movie, it has to be something. If you're going to do a different premise, it has to work. Mm-hmm. So you have to get people to forget almost the other movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you hope that it does. I mean, there's like people who reunite on screen over and over again, and sometimes it just works. But sometimes it's the same type of movie, too. So it seems to work. But if you're going to do something totally different, which this was different than other guys, it's kind of like, well, you got to make sure it really... But their chemistry is just overflowing. It's like I just couldn't ignore it.
Yeah, no, I think that actually, I had an epiphany about that just now. I think that's that unfortunately does work against it. Let's see. What did you think of the boss?
I love Thomas Hayden Church. Thomas Hayden Church. I was wondering where he was. An Oscar nominee for other films. I think it was Sideways or something. He is really good to me. His stories that like make no sense to what they're talking about. Didn't go anywhere. Yeah. So I can handle a side character who comes in and that's their job. It's to do something just really funny and outrageous and then go. I love that. And I loved every single story he told, and I love just delivering that weird mustache. I loved the whole thing. I thought, Brad would work at Panda Radio. It's soft, smooth jazz radio. Of course he would. And
I did like the fact that they called to it of like, nobody, nobody likes jazz. I like jazz. You'd be the only one.
He would. Of course he would. No, I liked his character. I thought it was very funny, and I thought he did what he was supposed to do. And just his delivery. I mean, Thomas Hayden Church is such an underrated actor, in my opinion. I like him a lot in a lot of things he's in.
Yeah, and again, in terms of the reviews and things like that, I mean, it's not necessarily doing great in terms of the reviews. Box office is doing fine. We'll talk about that. Yeah. But that's kind of one of the things that I went into this with. I'm trying to examine why it's not necessarily working for people, because script-wise, if I look at it, like, it has all those elements. We talked about, it coming full circle with the dance war. Yes. Even the car that they drive at the
Ford Flex. My daughter has one of those and loves it. Yes.
So all like, the writing is there to make it a good movie, and I am a little disappointed as to why it isn't hitting for some people.
One of the
And
things
that way
that like you said, hindsight. One of the things for me, I think, because this movie really is, in my opinion, really geared towards men and boys. Like it's, I mean, women can see it too.
When I went to the movie theater, there's a lot of fathers and sons.
Yeah, me too. So I saw it too. So I say, okay. So with that being said, I love a good. I think it needed injections of like a really over the top scene or something. Like it was missing that. Like there's some scenes that were somewhat over the top. They're okay. I think it missed a gross out scene or something. I mean, I feel like it was missing a couple of things that this kind of movie it would be okay to be in this movie. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't seem out of place. That's what I started thinking about afterwards, going, well, what it's missing? You're right. The elements were there. The writing wasn't strong, but it wasn't bad.
I thought if I saw the script, I would say the script is probably better than most comedy scripts, perhaps even start off.
Okay, I can see that.
Or at least that, you know what I mean? Certainly above average.
Right. I mean, I'm not a huge Mark Wahlberg fan as a comedy. I like him as a dramatic actor.
I mean,
so I didn't like Ted, so I wasn't a Ted fan. I couldn't get through it. Okay. I wanted to punch the bear. But in this, and like in other guys, he was good. A couple of things he was good, but like in this one, I really thought they needed a little more something outrageous, maybe something more slapsticky. I think it could have used more of that, and maybe the folks.
I mean, he rides the motorcycle around the house.
He does. That scene's good too when he comes down the wall. That scene's good. But I don't know. I feel like it was missing some more of that. Maybe I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of a boys' movie.
It is a boys' movie, and I get what you're saying. I mean, it's almost like when you watch a raunchy comedy and it's about drinking and trying to get laid. Like there should be more elements of fun drinking and stuff like that. So I'm with you. I've seen that before.
But I just think maybe that's one reason why for some folks it's just not hitting as hard, or as like why it's not getting 100% or A's or whatever grades people give out.
Do you think this is an opinion question, but do you think? I mean, for me, I buy Mark Wahlberg in comedies and I buy him in dramas, and I guess you could say based off of the success of Ted that people buy him in that role, but you're saying no. Do you think that is part of the problem, that he is more of a dramatic actor and
I think that's part of it too. I think Will Ferrell, we can expect whatever, but I think when it comes to
Will Ferrell's known for comedic
that's
stuff.
What I'm saying. So he's good. So I'm saying for another comedy with him, okay, we got it. Mark, you have to sell it a little harder. Maybe unfair to him in some ways, but we have to kind of overcome some of the great dramatic films. He's like Four Brothers, and and the things he's like Fear, things he's done that we just know him for. He's so good in. I don't know, it could be funny, I'm sure, but just like you have to kind of he has to go over a few more humps than most. They give able to buy that he's a comedic actor, maybe. That could be it. Because he hasn't. I mean, besides Ted and Ted 2, I'm thinking of what other comedies.
Other guys.
That's kind of it, isn't it, so far? So maybe if he's done more in a row, maybe it'll be a little easier. Because some folks transition to comedies.
I mean, he's funny in Entourage, but not that he has a big role in whether the TV show or the movie.
Right.
He's not. Right. But he has his cameos. I mean, in terms of Will Ferrell, the biggest one that I can think of that's close to drama but still a comedy is Stranger Than Fiction.
Oh yeah, that's one. Yes.
But other than that, I mean, he's done all the Anchormans.
But he's so funny. Most comedic people can do dramas. That's what's so funny. It's the opposite a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, comedy's a whole different muscle that if you're not working, if you don't have, you're not gonna get.
Not everybody can be funny. I mean, it really does come to timing and delivery, and a lot of folks. You can't teach funny, I don't think. You can try. I mean, I have a friend who's a comedy teacher, so I guess he does. No, but I mean, you try. But like drama, for some reason, we can all relate to that on some level, and that's something that's maybe easier to tack into. But I think I can see Will. I can actually see Will doing a drama, another drama. I mean, at some point, I think I can see him doing it. But I don't know.
Well, not that Stranger Than Fiction was that much of a drama. Yeah, and again, I don't I have to go back through his full filmography to see if there's other stuff.
But with Mark, I mean, he's a good actor, which is really funny. I mean, how he started, he's a great actor, compared to how he started out as Marky Mark. But I mean, it's just kind of funny. I will buy him in a comedy if it's funny. Mm-hmm. And this one was mildly funny. There were some funny parts, but he played a good part in it.
I mean, we talked about this before we started, but his dancing moves, especially, you thought because of his start that perhaps he was a little bit better. I found he was a guy like that should have been a much better dancer,
Yes.
and then eventually did the flips. I get that, but
Yeah. Hello, you were Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch back in the 90s. I'm thinking you must have some moves. I'm like, I kind of picture him as being kind of funky and getting down, but I guess not.
Griff should have told him better. 'Cause it was just the
There should have been a good dance scene with Griff and see. There's some things they could have put in there that maybe would have made me laugh a little more. They could have put that scene of them trying to teach him how to dance. They could have been funny. So you're already laughing already. So it could have been a funny scene.
It could have been, well, because Griff is the one who like actually in the culture, a lot of the youth they it's called step up,
Yeah.
and then
He names all this stuff. So I'm like, they could have. If they had a little scene of that, it could have been kind of funny. But I thought he would dance better than that. I was actually surprised.
yeah, and then in hindsight, it plays obviously much better. But the whole so wait, you want to teach our son to dance?
Oh yeah.
No, just there's alternate ways.
Yes. They didn't mention. It's funny. They mentioned TVs. They didn't mention West Side Story. I was waiting for them to mention that. That's a big with the Jets and the Sharks dance. There were two gangs. I was just kind of surprised they didn't mention that.
Hilarious.
Speaking of movies,
Fair enough. Let's see. What are the scenes? Let's talk about the kids because I think these guys did a good job, right? It's all about the kids, and if you didn't necessarily buy them, then the movie could work, but it wouldn't obviously work the way that it does. And I thought overall they both got a decent amount of screen time. They didn't just make it about the daughter. They didn't make it about the son. They equally had their own problems. And the fact that it came to a head at the fact that they tied in, like he shows up to the father-daughter dance, and that gets brought up as a point of contention. And then the fact that it's a girl that's the bully,
Yes.
I thought it was a perfect marriage of utilizing all of them to have them at the end to culminate into this climax.
I agree. That was a great twist. That it was actually the girls were bullying him. And I love they used that. It was like, I think she likes you, which is a kid thing. And I thought that was a great twist, a great thing. The kids are good. The kids were fine, equal screen time. I love the running gag of the king versus step king storyline. That story time, thought that was hilarious. I loved it when they kept going and doing that. The kids weren't too precocious. They were precocious enough as, movie kids are. But I have a sucker for a kid cussing. So when a kid says bitch, makes me laugh every time. When my kids say it makes me laugh every time. No, it makes me laugh every time. I'm a sucker for a kid.
But that was funny. Like, hey, dang it, bitch. It's like, you can't say bitch to her.
But what was funny when he kicked her in the no nuts or whatever she had.
No, the swimsuit area.
Yeah, swimsuit area. I thought that was hilarious. I'm a sucker. I thought it was hilarious. Because again, they did throw some stuff in, like doing that and the cheerleader getting hit in the face. Those were some shocking kind of moments. Like, what? Did they just do that? So I wish I had a few more of those.
Yeah, I thought the movie did best when they were doing physical comedy.
Yeah, I'm a total physical comedy person, and like I said, I love sight gags. I love a good pun. I'm all down for all that. And this kind of movie, would invite all that. It's that kind of movie. So, but the kids are good. So to go back to your thing, the kids were good. They're fine. They worked. They worked.
Now you want to talk about Gary Sanchez, which it was his production company,
Yes.
Gary Sanchez Productions, that was part of this, helped make this movie, and so I'm familiar, but not as familiar as you. So since you wanted to talk about it,
I just want to bring it up because he's the one who's one of the producers of the film, and his name came up in the very beginning. I was like, Gary Sanchez Productions, oh my god, because I didn't know he did the movie. And so I loved him from it's called Drunk History series on Comedy Central, and it's like their take on different. I'm laughing already. Different historical facts, and he's part of that production. He also did a short.
as the name implies, they do it.
They do it by drinking as a whole. It's like they mess up parts of history, and it's a really funny series. It's been going on for several seasons now. He also did a show called Bad Judge that only lasted one season with Kate Walsh and Tone Bell, who's now on a show with Vanessa Lachey. I love that show, and that show was so funny and great sight gags, great puns, great characters, just great production. And then Eastbound and Down with Danny McBride, which I thought that show was so hilarious. We talked about that before the show.
That show just kept going. Like,
It kept going.
They I think they got to second season, then they had like a 2-year hiatus.
Yes.
Then they got the third season.
Yes.
Then it was like, okay, we got 5 episodes. All right, we'll just call that a season.
Yes, it did. But I thought I like his productions because his productions. The reason why I want to bring him up is I saw some of. I don't know how much influence he had on stuff in the movie, but I saw things that I recognized in his TV shows.
Like what? What are,
Like,
what are
well,
the staples?
Well, like he likes a running gag, and like I said, with the king starts the step king, Griff with the food. But there are certain things he likes to run through his films his shows I love. He had on one of those shows, this guy wore a bolo tie. the whole series. Like it was, and the bow tie would change with the outfits and seasons. It was like just this thing. And in Drunk History, he throws a few things in that just are always kind of the same. I just saw some elements that were very similar, and I thought, okay, this is a Gary Sanchez kind of production that he's involved in it of some sort. And I recognize it. I like his stuff, so I will usually if I see his name on something, I will give it a chance.
Fair enough.
That's why I wanted to bring that up.
I mean, one of the fun. I was just reading an article because some people are speculating because of the way the ending was made that there's going to be a sequel because now it kind of. But a lot of the writers and the writers and Sean, who's also the writer, but he also gets credit as the director. Yeah. He was saying we would have to reset everything. Like it was just supposed to be kind of a funny staple to bring everything full circle, but not necessarily a setup of starting a new movie. And I'm glad that they. I did not know John Cena was in the movie.
Me, and I was like, my man, John Cena. That was hilarious when he pulled. I was like, who's on that motorcycle? It looks familiar. And I was like, I'm in. I'm totally in. He's bigger than Mark Wahlberg, of course. I mean, that made sense.
Yeah, and and that's the whole point. Like, who could be better and bigger than Mark Wahlberg?
Which I always thought it was The Rock. At first, I saw the arms. I didn't see it when I thought it was either Rock or Vin Diesel. I thought it was one of those two. It's like that's somebody really big.
Yeah, but what's nice is that John Cena. I mean, he's taken these roles. He was in Trainwreck, and interestingly enough, he had like. He made a reference to Mark Wahlberg during a sex scene. Oh,
okay.
And he was just in Sisters.
Yes, and he had his own movie, The Marine, years ago. He tried to go out into his own.
But I think he's fine. I think he's finding that he's quite a funny guy, and he doesn't. Obviously he's heavily involved with WWE still. Yeah. So he doesn't need to. At least right now, be a main character. I think he's just great as these quick people that come in. I think in Sisters he was slightly misused, whereas this, the fact he was in 15 seconds of the movie, but to me one of the better parts.
Well, he made it. He made a scene. I mean, it was just him showing up, and we watched this whole 90 minutes of this film. It was just like that's perfect. He was a great sight gag, so to speak. I mean, that was great. Just him showing up was like.
He's got tree trunks for arms.
Oh my God, it's huge. But it was perfect. It was like it all made sense, and you could almost envision another movie. Almost, you can almost go, okay, what happens now? It's like, and I thought it was perfect. I thought the ending was just so good. And I hope they don't make another movie because I think leaving it like that would be perfect.
Yeah, and even the insecurity of Sara.
Oh my God.
Oh, this is just what I threw together. This is what I normally wear.
Well, look at her. We're the same age, but she looks, like I thought it was kind of funny. Also, I love that was a good twist. I think it was kind of happening all over again. Because at first when they went and said, "Here's my fiance," I was like, "Oh." So they went ahead a little bit, and they had a baby, and I was like, "Okay." But I like John Cena. Basically, he was a good sight guy. He came in, and it was like that made complete sense.
Absolutely. So at the moment, I mean. Box office wise, if it does well, it's and we'll get into that in just a small bit. But as of now, they're not necessarily planning to do a sequel. But who knows?
You never know, right?
Well, they made the movie cost $50 million, and over this past weekend, it came out December 25th. We're talking about it on Tuesday, just a couple days after. $43.1 million.
Not bad, especially against that other movie that's really big right now.
Star Wars.
Yeah, and also Joy came out this weekend, too. And that was another movie that was very anticipated, too. And I saw it already came out last week. Or when
they all came out. A lot of movies came out December 25th.
Right, so I think that's pretty impressive that it was second place.
I mean, most people expected it to come in between 20 to 25 million. For the weekend, it came in, I think, around 32 million.
That's the last I had heard. It was like 32, 30, like 38. That's what I had heard last. But it's still great. I mean, $50 million to make, and you're already at 40. I mean, you're fine. You're going to make the money back, obviously.
Absolutely.
Which means, and overseas, of course, that always counts into many decisions, as you know, if movies make sequels or whatever. So
comedies,
not so much as others, you think?
Well, no, I think they do, but I think comedies are a little bit always tougher. I mean, if you had a Transform movie, that thing can tank here, but as long as it does like $1 billion,
they'll do 5 sequels. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but comedies, I don't know. It's just a little bit tougher with comedies to transcend language barriers and so on.
But then you see they make 22 Jump Street. I mean, there's movies they make. I mean, you see they make some of these.
22 Jump Street is just amazing.
That's another show, obviously.
And we did that, but hey, that movie is brilliant.
Oh my God.
That movie is brilliant. Don't you ever say anything bad about it.
And so, yeah, some comedies, so sometimes they make comedy. I mean, it depends. I mean, it really depends on if the folks like working together. I mean, it all depends, right? If a script comes up and they like it, I mean, it totally depends or not. I just hope they don't, because I think that's a good ending point.
I think it is a good ending point, but what could be nice is that, okay, now at least you have it so that the two of them are friends.
Oh, okay, yes. That's true.
And see,
okay, that's
and
true.
again, whether it's John Cena or who the heck knows what the situation could be that they actually end up dealing with, now they're in it together.
That okay. Now you say that, I'm kind of like, well, I can see a sequel maybe. I mean, now you say that two against the world, so to speak. I mean, that could be great.
Because the way the boss remember the high five moment.
Yes.
I would like to see those moments between Mark and Will of like, high five me. No. This is not a high five moment. It counted. No, it didn't.
right.
So that was
okay.
good.
Now you say it like that. I could possibly see a sequel now on some level. Hopefully with John Cena, if he did it, he'd be great if he did it. I mean, maybe
I don't know if he'll have time.
Yeah,
but
he's busy, but yeah.
We'll find out. And, it's interesting. Someone in an interview with Linda Cardellini, they asked her, they were asking her stuff, and one of the answers that she gave was that when she goes out in public, she likes to play a little game of when people approach her, what they're going to say they know her for.
Oh, funny.
Is it the Avengers most recently? Is it ER? Is it Wilma? So, what do you know?
Yeah, well, it's funny. Like I said, I knew her from all those different things, but like I said, watching her interview, she's been around a long time, and I mean, since teen. She's been around since she was a teen, and she is one of those faces you look at and you go, I know who she is, but like, she's not a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, I remember her in Mad Men, but it took me a minute to to connect to thread the needle on all of this. Because I have seen her in Scooby-Doo. I have seen her in... Well, hey, man, I'm a Scooby-Doo fan. And I've seen those crappy movies.
Well, you just see just anything. Are you a movie fan? It's just like, I'll see just
Well,
about...
now I'll see anything just to see, but I won't necessarily talk about anything just to talk about anything. But I do think, in terms of comedies, I think people are a little bit more harsher. And in general, I do tend to like comedies that most people don't necessarily like.
How funny.
I love Project X. I think that's one of the... Again, is it a great movie? No, but I think it's hysterical.
Oh my God.
I love 22 Jump Street. By the way, a lot of people agree with me.
So Linda Cardellini. I knew her from Freaks and Geeks of course first. That was my favorite, one season show that ever happened in life, and all those actors who come from it. It's just amazing show. I mean, Judd Apatow did such a great job. So I mean, I loved her from. I knew her from that. And she was a teenager. I mean, she was a teenager, but ER, especially ER, I called her. She was fine on that. I mean, that was an ensemble show. So that was fine also. But I just was so shocked when I saw her. I was like, wow, she's like hot. When he says at the beginning, I had my hot wife. And I was like, oh, like I said, it just took me a second. She has one of those faces like, oh, I think I know her. Just not sure what it is. So, and she said and I saw in the interview, she kind of liked it actually, by the way. She's kind of like, I get to still go outside and go shopping.
Yeah.
Unlike us.
Absolutely.
I can't go outside shopping at all. I can't go anywhere at all.
Any other kind of things that you wanted to touch upon this movie that perhaps we didn't?
Yes,
sure.
I do. One is the music. I actually enjoyed. You heard one of the songs at the beginning.
That's right.
Here Comes the Man by the Pixies, which is like my high school years, and the songs to me really fit the scenes. It was just so funny. I was like, I'm watching it when they showed Dusty and they play AC/DC. That worked. With John Cena, it was Metallica. I mean, it totally worked. I mean, even I was like, "Dirt Off Your Shoulder." That's a great scene. That whole scene, like I said, the whole scene with the gynecology thing, which is the fertility doctor, which is hilarious to me. But playing that after when he found he can actually impregnate her, that just made sense.
That was a good scene because finally it was a necessary win at that moment for him, because to see this guy get just beat up after being beat up, it was finally a good scene. And again, now you twist it where he's the one that messes up. Like, I'm going to impregnate her, and so now even if she goes with you, you're going to have to babysit my stepkid.
Yes, that was a good win for him. The Christmas was a win for him. But I love when
Christmas wasn't a win for him.
But in a way it was. But here's what's funny. I love the scene where Mark Wahlberg is. I'm saying Mark Wahlberg as he was doing it, was doing the pull-ups in the garage. I mean, like amazing. One, I mean that was not CGI. I know he can do that for real because he works out. And he's talking to Will Ferrell's character. I'm just like, how do you do that? I know you work out every day and it's just how you do it, but it's just like, for someone who's around my age, he looks great. I was just like, wow, this is like it's kind of that scene made me kind of laugh. But the music was really good, and the song at the like a G6 they played for the dance off was kind of fun. Like, why that song, but why not? I thought whoever was the music supervisor was really good. But that was I think they picked some good songs.
And by the way, congrats to Will Ferrell, because this is the second biggest opening for a non-animated movie after Talladega Nights.
Oh, I like that one film too. Will Ferrell is just so. He seems like comedy comes really easy for him. I know it's acting, but it just seems like for him...
He just gets into it.
He does. Whether it's a small role, like a tiny walk-on, or a guest thing, or a lead, he's so... I just really am a big fan.
Even the villain, he plays so well. Like, we got Zoolander 2 coming out, and he's coming back as Mugatu.
Yes, I saw the preview for that.
So, he just embraces whatever he's sort of given and takes it to the extreme. And that's what made Zoolander so great, is that without him being so crazy of like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like, it's the same look.
Yes, I know.
So he just hits it.
It just seems effortless for him. Like, I know it isn't. I know there's work involved, but he just seems like every role he does is just like, I'm Will Ferrell. I'm going to play this character, and he does. He really does. And I always enjoy him. He's one of the few actors that I consistently enjoy, that I'll watch, and I'm like, oh, okay, I like it. I'll see that. Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah,
he's good. So the music was one of my big things I really liked. Well, you brought something up. What did you think about Wahlberg as a producer? I mean, is there something that you...
Well, I mean, I look at this movie and the fact that it was so contained. I think whenever you have Wahlberg, you have to understand that he is a fantastic producer, and so even though he may not necessarily get the credit on this, there's just elements that he can bring, right? Whether it's just even his knowledge, his presence, whatever. And I look at like a movie like Sisters, even though it's doing well and obviously it's geared towards, but I just feel like for a comedy, that movie is just so long. It's almost in 2 hours, right?
Oh, wow,
I think that's just way too long. And it's the whole Judd Apatow thing at this point. And I just don't think comedies need to be... I think there is a skill in having a comedy be around 90 minutes. And I think, I think Mark can help that sort of thing when, if you bring him and make him part of the process. And I think the things that did work, I can't say with 100% certainty there because of him. I think it's a lot of elements, but I think he's certainly part of it. And he just has that element. And you want as many tools in your tool belt as you can. Certainly not like what Will had with, hey, bring
that was so
what
funny.
The hell is this?
I like that scene because a lot of people I know fathers like that who have bad tool belts. I have a good one.
What is this? Fishing? What are we going fishing here?
I know. And the tampon.
What is it? Oh my god, that was hysterical.
You use those for I understand. That was a funny scene, but I know people who actually have horrible toolboxes. I make sure I have a good one at my house just in case. Do I use it? No, but I have it. If I need it.
If a man come over,
exactly, they can use it. They can use my toolbox. I have one of those. But no, I agree with you. I think this movie being 90 minutes is just the right amount of time. Because then the story gets really dragged out and loses focus. It didn't lose focus. That's the thing about the movie. It really the focus was always there in the movie. It was just completely from beginning to end. Like you said, it was dad versus father.
Yeah.
And it was like being there, switching roles, being there, and at the end coming together for the kids and becoming one big kind of happy family.
Yeah.
Which I like a good ending. Sure, I like a little happy ending with a twist.
With a twist. With John Cena. So there you have it, guys. Obviously, there's so many other things that we could talk about that we didn't necessarily get to, but that's what the comment section's for. You guys get to let us know what you guys think. We'll interact with you guys, and we'll keep the conversation going overall. Because you know what? If you didn't, if you saw it now with us, great. If you're gonna see it later on, great. If you see it when it comes out on Blu-ray, great. You don't have to watch it in the now. You can watch it anytime you want. That's why on demand was invented.
So we have a YouTube page, of course, which is Popcorn Talk, and this is going to be on there in perpetuity.
Your Shark Tank word.
It's going to be on there forever, and you can always comment and like us and rate it. Same thing, you can also listen to us. Also,
you can listen to us on iTunes. And guess what? Sir James Lott Jr. has his own following, and if you want to talk with him directly, by direct means, not text message, email, but the next best thing, Twitter, Instagram.
So on Twitter, my voice has changed. On Twitter, I'm Black Hope LA, and that's BLAKHOPLA. On Instagram, I'm L Black Hope. Don't get that twisted. And on Facebook, I have a fan page. It's James Lott Jr. So you can type my name into anything, and you'll find me, and I'll talk to you. I talk to everybody.
There you go. And we're The Popcorn Talk on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. And, of course, Movie Anatomy for Anatomy of Movie in particular. We'll have so many movies coming up. This is the last show of 2015.
It is.
But you know what? Just even this week alone, we've done Hateful Eight, we've done Revenant, we've done Joy. We did Star Wars last week. We did In the Heart of the Sea. So many movies just in this past week span.
Yes.
So definitely check that out. Check out. I think we've done over 250 movies at this point, so check those out. And guess what? The fun train doesn't stop. We keep on going into 2016. We'll talk movies. And guess what? We're just a fraction of Popcorn Talk. There's DC movie news, Marvel movie news, Meet the Movie Press, there's Jedi Alliance, Box Office Breakdown,
Action Movie Anatomy.
Action Movie Anatomy, and so many others. Guilty Movie Pleasure, Profiles with Malone and Manson, and the list just goes on and on and on. But all there for you at popcorntalk.com. So we'll see you in 2016. Bye for now.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the rest of the Anatomy of a Movie staff, we would like to thank you for listening and subscribing to the show. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email or tweet us. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been Anatomy of a Movie.